Welcome to the discussion of politics and social movement module. For this discussion today, I have Dr. Mahis, senior lecturer of sociology attached to University of Colombo, and he has many national and international publications. He is interested in environmental sociology, political ecology, water resource, solid waste management, community mobilization, sociological theories, research methodologies, etc. So in this discussion, we tend to focus, we are trying to focus two main themes of the politics and social movement module, that is politics and social movement. So welcome Dr. Mahis for this discussion. Dr. Mahis, you have a lot of experience in this regard. Of course, especially you have conducted a lot of research in environmental movement in Sri Lanka. So I would like to start the discussion here. Could you please explain us how do you explain politics in general from sociological point of view?
Okay, thank you very much. I think for inviting me to have this discussion with you, Dr. Angton. I think you started with a very interesting questions. You know that really we want to clarify what does it really mean by politics. I think when it comes to the basic definition to politics, we can briefly tell that whatever the matters related to power, we can briefly tell politics. But normally we do have a kind of wrong interpretation and idea about the politics. We do think that mostly politics is related to elections, maybe pre-election or post-election. But we have to understand that politics means the power relationship or power structure. Maybe that could be maybe in family politics, religion, university, or maybe in social movements. So usually we can't get away or get out of whatever the power relation. So it is part and parcel of our life. So that is what I can briefly tell you.
Yeah. So Dr. Mahis, can you explain how do you understand the shape of politics in our country, local politics?
Yeah, I think you know that the power relations or power structure that differs from place to place and context to context. Normally, we can't expect a uniform system of politics almost everywhere and all settings of our country. You see that sometimes its shapes and its functions are getting different forms. Now, for example, when it comes to national politics, provincial politics, also local level politics, sometimes we see like maybe ethnic politics, religious politics, even also like undergraduate politics. So whatever it is, we know that politics is not a something alone functioning. We have to understand what is the driving force behind politics. Sometimes it could be religion, it could be economy, or it could be maybe some other material aspects. So therefore, we have to understand politics in relation to some other factors. We can't understand it in isolation. Yeah. So therefore, it's very much united to many other things, just like a social system that we teach in sociology, because it is interrelated to many different parts.
Okay. Dr. Mahis, are you referring to kind of topics like stratification? We have caste, class, and gender dimensions. Can you please elaborate?
Now, for example, good to mention that you see that when it comes to social inequality, now even if you take in Sri Lanka, caste and class are very, very important two criteria that we use in sociology. Now, especially when it comes to caste, I think although it is a hidden subjective matter, we know that the power relationships are very important in caste. Especially we know that if you analyze in Sri Lanka, I think the power or politics is very much associated with the caste system of Sri Lanka. Now a good example would be like there is a kind of hidden or call type of contradiction between the Govigam and Karawa in terms of promoting their caste. So I think like in India, we do have a lot of political related problems attached to caste system. So therefore, still we know that even in the last many of the elections, or maybe even after independence, political dimension of the caste system is very, very unique, and also it is functioning. So you can't understand the caste system without the politics. I think even in some of the Indian, if you take Indian dimension.
That's really very good beginning for our discussion for the entire module. And I would like to draw your attention, deviate from the discussion of politics to social movement. Dr. Mahesh, how do you understand, how do you explain social movements in broader sense?
Now, you know that when it comes to society, we have to understand the collective sense, or what you call collective sentiment of the people. Society does not mean just merely a collection of people. So when it comes to society, the most important thing is the collective consciousness. We know that the collective consciousness always bring the collective action. Now, how can a society function? I think without the changing dynamics of the society, we can't expect society to be very proactive. So if you want to have a very proactive, dynamic society, it should have a kind of movement. Now, movement means like a changing process. Now, in whatever the society we take, I mean, even in the past, it could be grassroots level, or maybe urban level, maybe national level. There are some form of dynamic aspects within the society. It could be the driving force of the society. Now society is not static; it's dynamic. That is what I am again and again referring. Now, in case if we apply this argument to the social movements, now it's a kind of collective effort to approach. I mean, going for another form of evolution. I mean, always society is always moving or developing from simple to complex, as explained by some of the sociological theorists. So even in the case of the social movements, we know that some of the requirement, I mean social requirement, it could be religious-based movement, it could be political-based movement, it could be military-based movement, whatever it is a kind of collective effort or collective action that all are put together, and they want to go for a new achievement. Sometimes it could be a success or failure, whatever it is. It's like a living organism. So then we get the right meaning and right consciousness of the society thanks to the social movement. If there is no movement, society will die, I think.
Yeah, that's a nice point. You really that is how it's really I really like the way you really ended the discussion there. In general, people of the country, ordinary people think always social movements are political movements. So is it you are referring to some other movements as well? Can you please?
No, I think we can't totally limit the social movement to politics. Because politics is yet another part of the social movement. I think social movements are the bigger one, like the larger picture. Within that larger picture, you find political movement in one area. Sometimes we have to understand that we have to understand the political movement in the context of social movement. I mean, without having a proper and subjective understanding about the social movement, I mean social structure, social organization, and the nature and function of the society, we can't understand politics. Now for example, we have to understand the hidden social aspects. As you explained, the caste, class. Now look at the Sri Lankan political parties. For example, lefties or rightist parties, maybe SLFE, UNP, JEP. They function according to the hidden driving force of the social movements. If they don't have such a social movement level elements, they can't form the party. Now, for example, if you take a UNP, is a political party as well as political movement. I can say political movement. That political movement function within the spectrum of the social ideology. Maybe capitalism. Maybe when it comes to the JEP or SLFP, they function in rather different ideologies. So therefore, social ideology, I mean, we have to political movement is just like a symbol of the society.
That's right. Dr. Mahesh, you are referring to movements as social. how social elements come. What is the social, how the component social includes in the movement?
Yeah, I think the good thing, I think that is, I can relate it to one interesting figure in sociology called Durkheim.
Yeah.
He asks, where does the religion come from? He says one social fact causes another social fact. So therefore, the society is the real source of the political movement. So if we don't have anything within the society, it's like a basket. So then from that social basket, we are taking the political elements. So what I am telling is, even in the society, we do have a lot of subjective or maybe like a cultural things. Those hidden cultural things, what I am referring is, the meaning is important than symbol. Because if you carefully and critically look at the political movements, now we'll say, for example, the religious movement emerged after the demise, passing away of Venerable Somathera. So that is a perfectly middle class social movement. Though therefore there is a social aspect there.
Yeah.
Social meaning is there to make the shape of the political movement. So we have to understand the subjective hidden meaning, not the objective symbols.
Yeah. Dr. Mahis, thank you very much for those interesting ideas. Of course, I believe that is a good starting point for this discussion to understand politics and social movement module. So thank you very much, Dr. Mahis. Again.
Okay,
Yes,
welcome.
we'll meet again in another discussion.
Okay, thank you very much.